You're the perfect blend of elegance and style, and your ride should be no different. The 2024 Hyundai Sonata Hybrid meets all your needs, from business to brunch and everywhere in between. With head-turning details like a sleek front end, plus stylish interior, and an available 12.3-inch digital instrument cluster and seamless tech integration. Okay, Hyundai. Visit HyundaiUSA.com to learn more about the new 2024 Hyundai Sonata Hybrid.
If I asked you to tell me who you are, how many things would you list off in terms of what you do or what your relationship status is? Last week I talked about the 7-year shift when it comes to my birthday specifically, but also like just in life, you go through these seasons of 7-year cycles. And it's really cool to start to notice the patterns that exist in your life. But sometimes what we may be overlooking is our very tight bond to what we produce in the world. Society has told us and programmed this idea that you are only as good as the work that you offer up. Gender aside, okay, everybody in some way, shape, or form suffers from this idea that I have to be something to be enough. And the something is usually some level of superficiality, okay? I have to make enough money. I have to look a certain way, okay? I have to have a certain level of IQ, okay? I have to drive a certain car. I have to dress a certain way in order for me to be deemed as successful. A lot of times you may not realize in conversation, when you're talking to somebody and you ask them about themselves, they immediately start to tell you what they do for work. You tell people what you do for work. And I want you to ask yourself, well, why is that what I lead with? Why is that the first thing that comes out of my mouth? The reason why is because sometimes we are so fixated on our work and how that is going to be a signal to other people that, hey, I am enough. It was something I was thinking about recently because even after I finish big projects, you know, sometimes I find myself really tired. And I want you to think about this too. How many times has there been a big milestone you've had? Whether it was a birthday, whether it was a job promotion, whether it was a personal project, whether it was something that took place that was very big, but afterwards you felt kind of depleted. Okay, you felt kind of drained, you felt kind of foggy or out of it. There's something I like to call post-achievement deflation. I was doing some research on it myself because I was like, man, why do I feel kind of tapped out? Why do I feel a little bit withdrawn, a little bit removed? And if you're a high performer and an overachiever, a lot of times we need to understand that we are functioning at a very high capacity all the time. All the time. And when you finally achieve that goal, it doesn't really feel like enough or it feels like anything. Why? Because you're running at such a high frequency. So by the time that you get it, your body just needs rest. And even when we are resting, we may sometimes feel like we are unproductive or unworthy. We have definitely been convinced in some way, shape, or form that you always have to be in motion to have meaning in your life. And that's not the case. And I want you to really take a good look at how you feel right now in life. And if life is going well, ask yourself, why is life going well? Is it because I have a lot of money? Okay. Is it because I have a partner? Okay. Or is it just because I feel fulfilled? And if life is not going well, why is that? Is it because I feel like I don't have a lot of money? Okay. Is it because I feel like I'm single? What is the reason? What do you associate meaning to be when it comes to your life? And how does it show up? Okay. Who are you outside of what you are doing for others? That's always a question I like to ask my clients too. It's a very interesting question to sit on and rest in, because when we tell people what we're good at, or you tell people things you like about yourself, you might say, well, I'm a very caring person. I'm a very thoughtful person. Okay, I'm very loyal. But these are all qualities that require you to be of service to other people. And that's great. But who are you outside of what you were doing for somebody else? For example, one of the things I love is that I just love to read. I love going to buy books. That's my jam. I genuinely enjoy that. And that really doesn't have anything to do with anybody else. Okay? But sometimes we can get caught in this trap of working so hard, but we don't understand why we are working and what we are working towards. And this is why when we do have these big successes, we can't even value them or appreciate them. The reason why is because we don't feel like we're enough while we're doing them. Sometimes the goal is not more momentum, it's just simply identifying what meaning is and what it looks like for you. If you find yourself deflated after you have these big moments, it's important for you to take a step back and ask, well, why am I doing this? Who am I doing it for? And what was the outcome I've expected? A lot of times in our pursuit of happiness, we don't have a clear understanding of what happiness actually means to us. Which is why when we have this thing that we've been working so hard for, it doesn't seem to fix anything. And we hear it all the time, money doesn't buy happiness, or this one thing won't make you happy. We don't always believe it. The reason why is because we don't have that thing yet to prove it. And sometimes by the time we do attain that goal, or we do reach that level of money, or we do have that relationship, there still feels like there's a void. And the reason why is because you haven't appreciated the person that's done all of this yet. Who are you outside of what you're doing for others? Who are you outside of your desire to be seen a certain way by others? Who are you when no one's watching? And how do you feel about that person?
Uh-oh, the last cookie.
You can get a new box of cookies in as fast as an hour with Walmart Express Delivery.
Are you my guilty self-conscience?
No, I'm the voice offering you promo code EXPRESS for free delivery on your first order.
Hey, who ate my cookies?
You mean, these cookies?
Order now. Welcome to your Walmart. Promotion valid for first express delivery order. $50 minimum subject to availability. Restrictions apply.
Your worth is not defined by you always being in motion. Your worth is not defined by how little breaks and rest you take. Okay? Your worth is not defined by how much sleep you don't get in order to achieve your goals. That is not your worth. And the people who actually value you, they want to hear about just who you are and what you enjoy versus how you can benefit them. I promise you. And we can also understand and recognize that when we are not operating in the most honest way, we are not having honest relationships with other people. If my goal is to always show another person how loyal I am, how caring I am, how thoughtful I am, that means that I may be blinded to, well, what has this person shown me? Okay. How honest have they been with me in this relationship dynamic? And it doesn't mean you have to be self-centered. And if you're not a self-centered person, you're not going to change overnight. So don't let that be a concern that you have. But it can be an opportunity for you to reestablish or reevaluate, who am I? After I complete a task, how do I treat myself? And how do I treat myself? What does enough look like for me? What does it sound like? Can I envision what enough is? I am not working on something when I am not working at something. Can I be at rest? And this is potentially why some people exist in very dysfunctional or unhealthy, imbalanced relationships. The reason why is because there's always a project and it's a task that never gets completed. If the relationship is unbalanced, you will spend a lot of your time trying to balance it out. And your idea of balance means that I have to overwork to overcompensate for this other person's lack of effort. And in turn, I am burning myself out. And we have to understand that some people will become so accustomed to our ability to output in such a high volume that when it comes to reciprocating, they may be offended. The reason why is because up until this point, you haven't asked anything of me. And I got so accustomed to that, or I am used to that. So now to do that might be hard. I want you to work on giving yourself meaning outside of you always in motion. What is that? What does that feel like? What does that look like? Who's around? Okay, who would you want to participate in that space? Or is it, moments of solitude, not isolation, but solitude? The moment you can remove yourself from always working is the moment you kind of identify who you actually are outside of what you're always doing. I want you to think about the last conversation you had and you were getting to know somebody new. What was the conversation around? Around work? Or was it around what you enjoy doing or what that other person enjoys doing? Outside of working. How interesting was it? How eager were you to show the best version of yourself? Or how eager were you to show that you were likable and that you were successful and that you were attractive because you had these other things? How hopeful were you that they would like you because of all of that? Did you feel invigorated? Did you feel restored? Or did you feel a little off kilter? It's important to recognize when your work does lead you. Okay, not your purpose, but your work. See, your purpose will never feel like a punishment to show up in. And even in your purpose, it allows you the opportunity to rest. It allows you the opportunity to regroup. Okay, your purpose is not pushy. Your purpose is just persistent. Your purpose is just present, and it requires you to be that as well. We need to recognize that presence doesn't always mean that we are burning ourselves out to just be there. Okay, if you genuinely want to be present for the things that you value, you genuinely want to be present for the people that you value, you have to recognize that presence also means that I am acknowledging what I need in these present moments. Because we do no one any good when we are not good. So I really want you to take into consideration, who are you outside of what you are doing, outside of what you're busy with, outside of that relationship that just never seems to work, outside of trying to force relationships to work. Okay? Sometimes we want to be seen as the person who has had this relationship for so long. And in reality, it's just the relationship has lasted this long. It's not that it's been lively. It's not that it's been enriching. Who are you outside of the work that you are always doing? Who would you like to be? Who would you like to be seen as? And what are your biggest fears around you not doing something? Okay, if I stop working, then what? Do I fear that I'm going to be abandoned? Do I fear that people are going to forget about me? Okay, do I feel like I'm going to be fired? That's, if you're not doing your job, then yeah, that will happen. But what is my capacity and what is my fear base? What do I fear happening if I am not always in motion or if I am not always doing for other people? What do I think about myself when those things happen? What do I genuinely believe about my accomplishments and the value behind them or the effort that I put into it? It is so crucial to get a little bit more honest in terms of understanding, what am I operating on? What drives me? And if you constantly have your foot on the gas pedal, you got to make sure, am I falling asleep at the wheel or do I run the risk of it? Let this be the season of life where you start to understand more of what you desire and who you are versus trying to seek the approval of other people who haven't even figured out themselves yet or taken the time. Whose permission are you waiting for to simply love yourself and to say, hey, yeah, I'm enough. And I can still do my work. I can still perform in such an amazing way and at a very healthy capacity. But I am enough without being taken advantage of, okay? Without being a doormat, okay? Without overcompensating for somebody else's lack of reciprocation, without devaluing or discounting myself and what I have to offer. I am enough. And then when you say you're enough, now the goal is to ask yourself, how do I practice that? How do I show that I'm enough? Because it's not just about boldly telling other people you know your worth. It's about what you do when no one else is watching, when no one else has you in the spotlight, when you don't have to perform. Who are you? And how does it feel to just be still? You know, that's been a realization for myself even recently. You know, after a birthday, after a big monumental moment, I realized that my body was like, hey, Isaiah, we need a break. You've been doing a lot. And it may not feel like you're doing a lot because you were always operating in this space, but you've been doing a lot. And there's been a lot of things happening. A lot of things you've been making happen. Let's take a break. And a break is not permanency. Actually, a break is important for you to learn how to regroup and reconfigure what's necessary, who's necessary. Let your flow define your work, like my boy said, versus allowing your work to define your flow. And the more you take a little bit more stock in who you are, the more you take a little bit more ownership over rest, the more you stop defining yourself by the things that you do, maybe you'll be a little bit more at peace, but also it'll be easier for you to just identify yourself as a person and who you genuinely are at your core versus what you hope people see you as. Sometimes you are not failing, you are just simply figuring things out, okay? And you are finding out what's important to you. But in order for that to happen, you have to be willing to stand still. So, again, who are you outside of the things that you do? And do you like that person? Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And take flight.